welcome to another beautiful episode of Leadership Podcast with me, Stephen Akintayo. And today I have one of my favorite people. He doesn't know this because, we haven't really, our relationship is still new, but it's been somebody I talk about behind him a lot of time. I just love who he is and what he stands for. And it's such an opportunity to have him here on the Leadership Podcast. I love to call him GCFR. In fact, my own argument is that the president has come to see me. Can you imagine? Who am I? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we have Ali Baba in the building.
Thank you very much.
Let's be like comedians in the building. Come on, give me.
No, you can't join us. There's age limit. You have gone past the age. You can't join us anymore.
I mean, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks
and
for having
I really
me.
don't think anybody can teach about leadership, like you do, because you've lived it. Your life is, your industry. You've been the leader of your industry in a positive way, the way it should have been. So let's go back.
Okay.
Why comedy?
So I'll say that I stumbled into comedy. It wasn't in the plans. It wasn't in the offings. First was that I started reading from the age of 3. By the age of 3, I could read. I may not understand what I was reading. I may get some pronunciations wrong. My dad would then say, no, that's not how it was. And I was reading nearly all newspapers then, from Tribune, Tide.
3 years old.
Yeah, Tribune, Tide. And then I always like to read the caption under pictures. Wow. I'll read the captions. I'll say, this is so-and-so person. Gowon is sitting with this person. Ojukwu is sitting with this person. Adesanya is sitting with this. I'll read out the names. Wow. And then my dad now saw that I was way ahead of my peers. Because by the time I was 5, I refused to read those lamp tales, those books, the books they give to children of Mary Had a Little Lamb. I was not interested in any of it. So my dad then decided to buy me. So there's this lady, the lady bed books that they used to buy for children. My dad said, okay, he won't buy that for me. So he bought me Famous 5. And I was about like 6 or 7. Yeah. And Famous 5 was for teenagers. Wow. So I was reading Famous 5, getting to know about it. And after a while, I told my dad that it's very basic, that from reading the first 4 or 5 lines, I can tell that this story is predictable. It's too simple. So my dad said, okay. So what he would do is that he would introduce me to the African Writers series. So from the age of 10, I was reading African Writers series. I didn't read Pacesetters. I didn't read these. What are they called? The series, all those romantic series. I didn't read any of all those. So from the age of 10, I moved to the James Hadid. So I could. And so if I'm having a conversation with people who were much older than me, people would ask, how old are you?
Yes, exactly.
Somebody would say something and I say, well, that's not logical. You can't say because of this is, and they turn and look at me like, what I said, if you argue this, then this will be that. So all of that time, I was setting myself up because my dad decided, if you can be logical like this, you should become a lawyer. But it was because my cognitive thinking and my rational processing of words and everything that I took in was much higher than my peers that made him think I would become a lawyer. And then I normally joke that every Roboman had land cases, so he wants his son to become a lawyer so he can handle some quickly, So the other things that came to me was I would become a broadcaster. Okay. I'll become a writer. And I used to write some novels. Then I'll write paper novels. I'll put them. So when people come, they'll say, and I had this gift for calligraphy as well. Wow. I could paint, I could draw, I could dance. I was very fast with sports. I played football, I did 100 meters, I threw javelin, I did long jump. So all of these things just make you become so popular with friends here and there from all tribes. And so I started picking up languages, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Igala, and all those things. So by class 4, I took the common entrance and I passed. So my dad said that I should go. My dad was the 2IC Nigerian Army Education Corps in Ojo Cantonment. And so they said, okay, let him go to secondary school. So I went to secondary school. But because I was not mature enough, I think I was about like 10.
Wow.
I was about like 10 when I went to secondary school. It was like, it's not mature enough. It was about 8, yes. So I went to secondary school. 8, yes. I went to secondary school. I couldn't stay. I couldn't stay. My dad now said, no, you come back and repeat. So I now came back and repeated primary 5. Primary 5, I then did my common entrance again. Yes. And this time it was like, let him go.
Yes.
So I went. Now, in secondary school, I also did not finish class 5. From class 4, I had my 6 credits. Wow. But I didn't have maths. And I wanted to read law.
Yeah.
So then my first cutoff mark was 225. Jump. My second cutoff mark was 234, which was the Nigerian code. And my dad said, you must read the law. And so when I went to school, the ECPOMA at the time, and it was because I was nonchalant about all this. I will know the thing. But instead of be patient, you know, that's the maturity that I did not have. Instead of be patient, sit down, write the exam properly, I would just be like, let me just do this. And I won't satisfy the lecturer like he wants. So the invigilator like he wanted. So I managed to sit because they said they needed maths for law. So my dad said, since you didn't get maths, you go back to school and read and study for maths. So all I was just doing was preparing for maths because I just so I'll do 2 sittings. I'll have my 6 credits here. I'll take 1 maths, even if it's a pass, then it was okay. So I did the maths, got the maths. So 1984, I was supposed to then go to university. And they were trying to get me into law, and they didn't get me into law. So my dad said, go to Abraka, go and do religious studies. And then after year 1, year 2, you change to law. So I did year 1, Abraka. Then I said I should go to ECPOMA to go and read law. ECPOMA at the time had the best faculty of law. So came to ECPOMA. When I came to ECPOMA, I tried to get into law. The only thing was that I then discovered comedy.
Wow.
So when I discovered
comedy on campus.
Yes, I started on campus. And now, for me, it wasn't like a paid event thing. Let me. So when I say I stumbled into comedy, I used to be a professional heckler. You know those people they call no future ambition that sit in one side of the hall. Every time they're making noise, you know. Like used to have them. Nearly every school had them.
Every school.
You just know that any noise that was coming from one place was from that area. And they will make noise. Some of them were kegites. And so that was where I used to stay. And so when they make any noise, I'll just throw one jab. And so there was a day they then had a striptease. Now, for a lot of us who were coming from Christian homes and who were very well cultured, striptease is one of the things that we only either saw on TV when you're watching some foreign movies. But to say you see one woman really removing her clothes, it was, even in a dream, you wake up because you know they'll flog you. So when they promoted that show, the hall was fuller than it used to be.
Wow.
Everybody came in, plus lecturers and also. Now, I'll give you a background to that. At the time we're talking about 1987, it was the heat of Makossa music and Mapuka. So there were people who were coming from Congo and they were singing all those. And you saw how they danced. And so this was one of the girls. She came on stage. She started peeling off her clothes one after the other. And they were playing a song for her from Steve Wonder. Isn't she lovely? And so as she was doing it, but you see, there are a lot of these people, and you can tell because there are a lot of them who came to this school and had not gotten that kind of sexual exposure. As soon as she got to her petticoat, they ran on stage. And the girl took off. Because Some of them had not seen that kind of, and she was a voluptuous lady. She was big on all sides, and so she ran off, and pandemonium. People were shouting. Now, there was a lady that was sitting next to us and said that the confidence that a woman would have to step on stage and do that kind of thing, man. So when all of that was going on, people who put the show together now came to where I was and said, people listen to you from this corner. Is it possible for you to come and calm the other? I said, okay. So I went.
Yeah.
Now, in those days, they used to use one thing called the FM mic. The microphone that had this cord like that, you connect it to the FM radio. And so I took the mic and I was walking around and abusing people and telling them to sit down. So they all sat down. And I said, now that we're calm, let's bring the person in. So I wanted to go back. The guy said, no, you can't. As you have calmed them down like this, continue to calm them down and let them. So I went backstage and told the lady, I said, you will come out. She said, no. I said, you will come out. I've pacified everybody. You will come out and then you do what you need to do. And I went and I said, you know what? When I went back now, I told her to show me everything and she showed me everything. I said, you people want to see it, oh. I said, because the lady, I said, if they come on stage, she's going home.
Wow.
So if you pay to come and see it, so sit down. So some people were making noise. I said, okay, now that those people in that place are making noise, if those people make noise, no more. Some people went there and started dragging those people out and said, you should go out. So in a way, I controlled the audience.
Yeah.
And through that show, I held it down till the show finished.
Wow.
Subsequent events, they always wanted me to be either co-MC or the MC. Now, all that I was doing for free until somebody now said, okay, we have an Emerald night. We want you to do the MC. We'll give you 30 naira.
30 naira. Now, so that's your first money?
Yes.
30
naira. Now, in 1987, 1988, 30 naira was a lot of money because my whole monthly allowance was 100 naira.
So that's 30% of what you
Exactly. So, and that was one show.
Wow.
And probably before the end of the month, except towards exams, you had regular shows. And then you have departmental events too.
Yes.
So departmental events, they'll pay 30, depending on negotiation. Some will pay 40, some will pay 40. And so when the month finished, I had close to about like 200-300 naira on me. I didn't go home because I always went home to collect my 100.
Yes.
I didn't go.
I don't did your 100.
And my dad didn't bother. Because it wasn't that he wanted to give me. Because my dad's salary at the time was 1,200.
Wow. So giving that 100 was a lot. How many were you guys?
We were 8 in numbers.
Hey.
But the others had graduated. Okay. Then I'm the first son, so...
How many older sisters?
4 of them. So it was like, okay, so what's happening? I went through by like 2 months not going home. And my dad now, and then I was traveling to different schools, University of Port Harcourt, Unilag, Yabatech, Luth. I went to University of Calabar, University of Port Harcourt, University of Maiduguri, ABU. So, and everywhere I went, when I got the stickers, because then we used to print stickers for shows. And they write, Mr. Uniben, I was there. Mr. This, I was there. So when you come back, you stick it on your... And people used to brag about it. So I went to this show. You bring it, Mr. Skomits, Miss Harp. Harp, there used to be a drink called Harp Lager Beer. They used to do a beauty queen around universities then. So Miss Harp. And so my dad came to school to find out why for 2 months I had not come. And by the time I was making so much money, I had bought everybody out of my room.
Wow.
The room, just about like big, like so there's a double bunk and a single bunk. So I took the single bunk out. I put a rug in the place.
Hey, big boy.
I put pictures of Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Bill Cosby, Red Fox. I put all of them on the wall.
Instead of Ganifa, maybe.
And so my room, and then I went and bought a Sanyo TV. And put the Sanyo TV there and bought a Nulek VHS and put it there. I had a fridge, Grundig. I had a Grundig fridge. My fan was a neck. So I was like, I was boiling. And back then, you know, I don't see it anymore. You used to have this bulb that when you pull it will change a different light. Pull it, change a different light. So I had that in my room as well. Next door to me, I was in B22. B24 was Oyakilome.
Wait.
Yes, the same Oyakilome.
Pastor
Chris was in the next room. But it was Believers Love World at the time. And so his room, in the night, you hear them praying. I used to call him Frying Pan because of his Jericho. I'll call him Frying Pan. He say, God will save you. I say, you don't know why they say cleanliness is next to godliness. You are next door here. If anything was up, don't forget that when Jesus died, the thief that was by his side went with him to heaven. I said, I'm here with you. So it was, and then I used to barb hair. Wow. And you know, he was not my market.
Yes.
So
bad market.
He was bad market for me. So then, you know, with the comb and blade, you cut hair. So, and then cutting the hair, I used to make some money from it. You know, it's 1 naira, 2 naira, 50 kobo sometimes. If the hair is BJ, if a skin cut, you now charge.
Despite doing this entertainment.
No, so I was all of it. All of it was, and then I used to write. You know, I told you I did calligraphy, and I was writing, and I was poetic.
Yeah.
So people go design their cards in the Archi department. Yeah. When they finish designing the cards, they then bring it. Then you write feelings into the this thing for them. Those ones you could do it for like 5 naira, sometimes 3 naira, depending on what. The person will tell you the life history of their relationship. She's very scarred. So you describe the girlfriend. When they finish describing it, you write it in a piece of paper. Yeah. You read it and then write something. So when they go give it to the girl will be like, crazy. But you see, so I had a lot of things to do to make money. But in all of this that I was doing, I was studying the market and I was seeing that comedy was not just an art. The business side of it was beginning to dawn on me. And so one day I woke up and went to the library. And I said, I must read about this comedy thing. So I went and found out that it was actually the black slaves that started stand-up comedy.
Wow.
Now, for them, you know, slaves were picked from different parts of the world. I mentioned a project to you that I want to do in America. In studying all of that, I then saw that when they picked all these slaves, the Kanuris, the Calabaris, and you picked up people from Ashanti, the Zulus, and you put all of them together in a ship. The Kanuri man won't understand the Zulu man. The Zulu man won't understand the Ghanaian. The Ghanaian won't understand Yoruba, Igbo, Ijo, all those ones. But you put all of them and lump them in this, and then you chain them. Now, because I don't know, I tried to speak to this man. I say, Bawoni. And the man is saying, Kegani, what is it? And he's speaking Hausa. It means that there was no way to communicate. And so when they finally got to the farms and they were working, they had to learn the master's language and spoke that language to themselves because they had to communicate one way or the other. Now, one of the things that makes a lot of Africans gesticulate with their hands. It's because there's a lot you want to say. All right? So you have to use your hand.
English is constraining.
Exactly. So you use your hand to. So if you want to say, Master's saying, come. Master's calling you. Say, Master, come. Master, or me hungry. Me food. Me hungry. And so gesticulation was one of the things. So in studying it, I now found out a lot more. And the thing just went boom. And I was like, this entertainment is really bigger than what I was thinking. So I started reading on why the blacks went into jazz. Now, they went into jazz because they didn't understand themselves, their language. And so, but I know how to play the guitar. You know how to play the drums. This one knows how to. And since we don't speak the same language, let's just play jazz. So we'll play music without singing. And that's how jazz started. They just continued playing. So, and they work from 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening, freshen up. And so from 8, they come out and try to tell their stories. Now, the people who were telling stories were telling the stories in broken English, as much as you can push the language together. You just knock, cut and join the master call me, master shout, master dance like this. And so you were trying to put all of it together.
And it became humorous in a way.
Exactly. And so gradually, the masters who had the farms started enjoying this thing. And so they would call all of them to sit down. And so they would sit down in front of their patio and they'll say, whoever has a funny story should stand up.
Wow.
And that's where your stand-up comedy started from. So you stand up. Now, the ones that were in the cotton farms, they didn't put padlocks. But the ones that were, they can't eat cotton. But if you're in the corn field, sugarcane field,
particular sugarcane,
and sugarcane, yes. And if you're in any of all those places, they would make sure that you had padlocks in your mouth. So in the evenings, they will remove the padlocks if you had a story to tell. So most of the ones who were...
You must have a story.
The ones that had their fathers... And then the other thing is, once you don't have padlocks in your mouth, it is the best way to learn words because you'll be repeating them as the person is saying it. So master says, what is this? They say, what is this? But with the padlock in your mouth, you can't repeat any of them. So the ones that didn't have padlocks learned faster. Wow. So I read all of this and I was like, wow. Which explained why when slave trade ended, a lot of all those musicians went to New Orleans, where you then have the hub of jazz music. Now, I read all of that and I'm like, wow. I read about comedy, the early comedians, and then found out that by the time this comedy thing started growing in the farmland, the pull from the country became very strong. Yeah. People would come from the country to come and watch them. Yeah. And then the people who had pantomimes, like the white people didn't have stand-up comedy. And they heard that these blacks were beginning to take their crowd. And they said, what can we do? Which led to white people painting themselves black as black minstrels then, which was what they accused the Canadian Prime Minister one time of. That they paint themselves black and perform the broken English.
So it wasn't a way of hurting or...
No. It was trying to beat the competition. In the first time, it wasn't about... It was trying to beat the competition, like mimicking...
Yes.
But you see, the racist struggle... Yes, the people just push it out. They are mocking. No, it wasn't... Yeah. They were trying to make it look like, oh, this is what these black people do.
I see.
And so when it caught on, people were coming into the farmlands to listen to them. So they then took it back to the stage and started performing it. So with time, as they got perfect, they had a replica of it everywhere in America. So when slave trade ended, they then banned people from doing it. But you see, when slave trade ended, they then picked the ones that were doing those things.
Yes, who were blacks anyway,
to perform it live. And so that was how we then got into comedy. Wow. So, and they used to pay them well. The ones that were not paid well were now kept in the home. Like if you watch the movie Django, Samuel L. Jackson was one of those kind of people in the home. So he had become schooled, he could speak and could do jokes once in a while.
Yeah.
So I decided that I'm making so much money from this thing. I came to Lagos to do something for Loot. When I finished, physiotherapy students, when I finished, they paid me 700 naira.
Wow. What year was this?
This was 1988.
Wow.
700 naira. And I said, there is no way.
That's more than half of your father's salary after working for
I said, I'm not going anywhere again. My dad will say, hey, they've gotten the transcript, they've gotten this thing, I need to change. I say, change, go.
Changing
it. And then I would, Fridays, I'll come to Lagos. Wow. Perform in Jabita, perform in Class Nightclub, perform in all the clubs around the place, Lord's Club, Peak Nightclub, and do all of those things all through. So some of the clubs where they're not paying, they will spray. Sometimes they spraying, and don't forget, this was the time 419 has started.
Hey.
So the spraying, sometimes these guys... They will spray. And sometimes I'm going back to school, I'm going with about 2,000, 3,000. And then the students in Yaba Tech
Did
will
you
call
sow
me.
seed to Pastor Chris?
Pastor Chris had an adjutant at the time. I don't know where he is now. His name is Anthony.
Okay.
Pastor Tony.
Okay.
He didn't do Jericho's.
Okay.
He was the one that was running Abraka campus at the time.
Okay.
I don't know where Pastor Tony will be now.
Okay.
But they were very
Please, Pastor Tony, if you
Pastor Tony, if you
I
need to see
you.
So Pastor Tony was my friend. So Pastor Tony and I would be discussing and would have exchanges because I was reading practical Christianity.
Yes.
Because I did religious studies and philosophy.
Yes.
They were doing theology. So we'll be arguing. So one time I asked Pastor Chris, I said, who was the wife of Cain? He said, why am I asking that question? I said, because if he created only two people, the two people had Cain and Abel. And Cain had children. Yeah. Who had the children for Cain? But we solved that later. Yeah. So I can't say what. But it was really very interesting. And Pastor Chris and I became close. We're friends. And then he came to Lagos, started Christ Embassy, and grew from Ajao. And became big. And so I was pursuing stand-up comedy. But you see, stand-up comedy at the time was it was not properly embraced. People saw it like...
But they were paying you well.
They were paying me well. But you see, the people who were paying well were different from the people who enjoyed it. Oh. I need to mention that. So I discovered early that there were the people who liked the comedy but couldn't afford it. You understand?
Okay.
But there were people who enjoyed it and could pay.
Yes.
So I started devoting time to promoting it towards them, which informed my getting billboards at the time. I had a billboard where Civic Center is now.
Yes.
I had a billboard at Marina facing the governor's house. And then I had one at...
the first entertainment billboard.
Yes, the first for entertainment, the first billboard. And what I wrote, being funny is serious business.
Oh, yeah.
This was 91, 92. Being funny is serious business. Pager number, so the 470-6965. And my pager number was 195.
Did people call you?
Oh, some of them will call because that was all that was on the billboard. And people will be like, they'll call hello and leave a message. And then my pager will beep and they'll say, call so and so person back. I'll go look for a phone booth and call hello. They say, yeah, what do you do exactly? I said, I'm a comedian. Say, and you have a billboard? I say, yes. So what do you do with the billboard? I said, you called me now, sir. I said, okay. And then only people who had access to phones could then call.
So who was the most notable person that called you?
Mobolaji. I'm trying to...
Mobolaji Bankanto.
No. The other... What's the man that does properties that owns Uluwani Shola?
Okay.
No. Anyway, we'll get to...
Yes.
Molade Okoya Thomas.
Chief Razak.
Razak.
Serious?
So Razak Okoya is the one that does properties.
Yes.
Okoya Thomas that does industry, CFAO. So he said I should call him. So I called him. He said, what do you do? I said, I'm a comedian, sir. You're a comedian? I said, yes. He said, very brave.
Wow.
To have a billboard.
Wow.
What informed you having a billboard? And I said, okay, I should come and see him in Apapa. So I went to see him. When I sat down, he's very brave, a young man. Yeah, so how many billboards do you have? I said, I have 3. He said, how much did it cost you? The Otuya is the guy that gave me those billboards. He used to work with Intercellular as well. Okay. But he was one that gave me the billboards. His office was in Folago, somewhere there. And so the purpose of the billboard was to connect to the people that could afford it.
Yes, since I get
because if you push like the Bible said, don't push pearls before swine.
You have been way
so those billboards then brought me some big market. I then got the pager. Then there was another business that there was a voice note service that came one time. They were on Norman Williams.
Okay.
I also got them and put them on the billboard. So that one, you call and leave a message on the listen. I call in and check all my voicemails. For me, I felt like I needed to push the industry to a point. I needed to make people.
Did you ever believe it would be this big when you were doing that?
No. But you see, you can use the scale of reference a bit to know where it was going. For instance, I was in school. My allowance was 100 naira.
Yes. So
if you then, if I can make 700, 800 in a month,
this was going to be big.
Then this was going to be big. And this was in school. But you see, gradually, a lot of the agency boys and brand boys who were marketing brand managers for a lot of products, they come to school. They come for concerts and all those things. And then they see this guy and then they'll say, we need you to come and do something for Coca-Cola. We need to come and do something for Sprite. Then Limca and Go Sport at the time now called me to do a tour around schools because the competition was strong. They wanted to enter the market. Limca, Go Sport.
Yes.
And they had their...
Gen Z, you won't know Limca, don't worry. You won't know what Limca is.
So I found out that whatever skills you have, which is a very key rule that I live with, whatever skills you have or talent you have, if you do not convert it to a service, nobody will pay for it. If you know how to sing from now till tomorrow. As long as you are doing it for free, people will take it for free. It's a hobby. But the day you convert it to a service that meets the need of one person, you begin to make your money. Okay, you know how to rock children to sleep. If you want to then make money out of it, you must open a crèche. Begin to teach the people how to do the same thing.
That's powerful.
If you're somebody who has an eye for details, you either begin to be a project manager and say you're crossing people's T's, you're making sure that everything is done. There's some people back then, we have them in the family. If family says we want to do a party, they know who to call for this, they know who to call for that. They know. And then you then tell them, go into events management. They say, no, I'm a banker. But in the end, they will not be like, I do this thing effortlessly.
True.
And they begin to put it together. I had one friend who said when they had their father's 70th, this was in 1990. Back then, event planners were not a thing. They set up committee. You get the women that will make the amala. They'll bring them in. You get the people that will kill the cow. You get the people that will bring the plastics. So they will go to, they used to print plastics in Shomolu. They'll go and buy plastic cups and print all of them and come and share. And
put label.
And they say, sometimes they make the stickers and they put on this.
Put the sticker,
then they then say, okay, the people that will decorate. So they go, which is some decorations they still do now. They'll buy fabrics, tie it here, nail, tie it here, which is tie a ribbon. And then get tablecloths. You find that until those people begin to actually scale up their skills, make it better, and provide, you will just look like the man that was given talent, buried it, and didn't do anything about it. The other two used theirs.
So you knew it was going to be big for you, but did you know you were literally going to create an industry?
No, I did not. So what I was doing, I need to mention the part. So one of the biggest driving force I had was my father. Because as soon as I refused to change to law, he disowned me.
True story.
Yes. As soon as I refused to change to law from 1987, 88,
how does that work? How do they disown?
Don't come to the house.
Days?
I don't want to see you. You're a bad influence on all the other children. So don't come to the house. And then no more school fees. And I don't want to hear from you anymore.
And the no more school fees part is not.
So exactly. So I was the prodigal son that made it. I didn't come back home. So when that happened, I took my guts and I was like, let's go.
And you were not emotional about it?
I was. So I used to sneak back to go see my sisters and my brothers.
Yes.
But when I go see them, take. So they would tell me, okay, so my dad had 3 homes at the time. He had a home in Benin, had a home in Warri, I had a home in Uheli. So they will let me know.
When is that?
They say he's in Uheli. I'll go to Warri. They say he's in Benin. I'll go to Uheli. Wow. And sometimes I'll come to even the one in Benin. I'll stay somewhere. I'll send them to go and call them. They'll come and meet me. I'll sort them.
Big boy.
Then I got to a point where I was like, this thing is making so much money.
Yeah.
Now, because I was running between that 500, 400, 600, 700, I'd never gone beyond that 700. I patched it and said that was my fee.
Wow.
Then I came to Lagos and I was charging. So anytime I say 700, people will now negotiate it to 300 because I was still trying to build the market. I learned about Nigerian markets, which is something I teach in some university. I teach the MBA class about the remote marketing and the Nigerian market.
Okay.
Because I now learned all of it from the time I was marketing myself and found out that prices get around. Somebody that says, do this for me.
That's true.
They said in Nigeria, they say, do this for me. Nobody else will know the price you did it. True. You will do it. When his sister wants to marry, he says, he took 300 from me.
Yes.
But talk to him. The person then comes to talk to you. And you then say, 700, you'll be like, I want to low to our people. To fake 700, Lord.
Very true.
So, and then when people, I then found out that because then I used to jump taxis, jump buses, molars, and all those things. And if I have an appointment, by the time I jump buses and when I get there, I'm not fresh.
Wow.
I'm looking all rattled inside the bus and all those things. I said, these people are going to pay me this amount of money. Then I need to put up an image that looks good.
Wow.
And when you get there, you have to now learn etiquette because they can say, come join us and eat.
And then you are using your hand.
So where is this? Okay, far. Where did this one come from? And I then learned negotiations.
Wow.
Now, learning negotiations also became a very tough issue because everybody had a different negotiation skills. Some people will tell you, we don't have money.
Yeah.
Some people will tell you, no, the job you are doing is not that serious now. Some will even put up like, how much am I collecting in this organization that you want to collect that amount? True. Some will come with they will have somebody that will do it or will just want to help you. Some will be like, if we do this thing, people will see you.
Yes.
They push all kinds of things. I learned all of those tricks.
So you had answer for each.
Exactly. And then some of them will be like, okay, you know what? We'll pay you this amount now. The subsequent one.
Yes.
So I normally attack that one by going, don't pay me that subsequent fee. Pay me the full fee now. The subsequent ones, I'll give you the discount.
I like that.
So, or like when they want to pay you, back then, your check would take 7 days to clear if it's up country.
Yes.
Okay, so they will now say, okay, we'll pay you, let's say we'll pay you 200 now. Then we'll give you a check for 300 when you finish the event. So I'm like, so they'll say, we'll pay you the other one. I said, no need to just give me a check, post-date it, so that I don't have to come after you. Because that was when I learned that you could, because our work is not tangible.
Yeah.
You finish the work.
That's it. The value is over.
Exactly.
So if you are now chasing
it is not like you supply the car. If the person does not pay, you go there and repossess the car. So there are a lot of marketing tricks that I learned at the time. Now, how did I now apply all of this in helping the industry and building the industry? That it was that after learning all those ropes, a lot of people who had not come into the industry did not know how much money I was making. Yeah. For them, it was like comedy. And then my first recruit was a guy called Mohammed Danjuma. Okay. Mohammed Danjuma was the first. He's passed. Mohammed Danjuma was he was an actor. He was an actor. He was on television series. And I told him, I said, this is how much I charge. You have a great sense of humor. let's be doing this thing together. So I can't do all the events. If they call me for this event and I'm booked, if they say they have another event, I'll call you to do it. But I can negotiate. He said, you negotiate now. We say, so I'll negotiate and get him to do the job.
Was it the one that, I think was getting slimmer at some point? Was from the north?
Yes, that's it. That's Mohammed Danjuma. I had one eye.
Yes,
Mohammed Danjuma. He was one of the best.
He had a very good voice.
Very good voice.
Yes,
one of the best comedians.
I know him.
He's the one that did the joke about he had very beautiful punchlines. Wow. Spontaneous as well. Wow. He's the one that did the joke about road safety pulling him up and saying, why was he speeding? And he said, and then they said, why was he speeding? They didn't know how fast he was going. He said, I get one eye. If I put the eye for speedometer, which one I go put for road? so because they asked him whether he didn't know how fast he was going. He said, now one eye again. I put him for road. So I started teaching them the ropes.
Who was your second recruit?
My second recruit was a guy who did not even just go into comedy again. They called him Charles Novia, who then went into movies.
Wow.
He went into movies. Another person was a guy called Saint Jack. I met him in Charlie Boy's place. Wow. So I started teaching him how to do this thing. He too then decided he was going into music.
Wow.
Then Osam came in one time, but he's now with Nigerian FM. There were several people who came along the line, but the ones that stuck out and stayed were TA. TA then even just moved in and was staying with me. So TA then learned the rope fully. And I'll tell him, if I teach you these things, I may not be there again. You can teach any other person the thing.
What was your mind when you were doing that? I mean, how will you be remunerated for just investing in these guys?
I was making too much money.
So you didn't even bother?
I didn't bother. There was a time, if T and I are driving around Lagos, so I had a Honda Accord. We'll drive the 86 Accord. I had the 86 Accord. We're driving around Lagos. In our boot, we have about like 3 to 5 to 600,000.
Jesus, in those days.
In those days, we'll have, because my first big break came from doing a Satzenbrow tour. There's a guy called I.D. Young, who was the country manager for Samsung.
Okay.
He now owns his own mentoring school and project. He was made brand manager in Guinness. They made him brand manager of Satzenbrow. And they needed to take Satzenbrow around the whole country. And they said they were going to go to bars. But he has seen me performing and doing stand-up. And he was like, this guy, you don't make the jokes. You just create the jokes as you go along. Is it possible to come on a tour with us?
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I will. And how much will you pay? He said, you know what? He calculated everything and said, okay, we're going to go to every state that we go to. We'll do like 4 or 5 bars. So every state will go to 4 or 5 bars. Every state will. So by the time we finished, my money came to close to about 1.8 or 1.6.
Oh, yeah.
1996. 95, 96, yeah. And when they paid me the money...
like, by the way, it's like billions now, really.
Yes.
It looks like considering inflation.
So it was a lot of money because when the money was paid, I had, because it was an up-country check, kind of. So I paid the check in. It took about 5 or 6 days to clear. Before then, I had done photocopies of the check. And so I was putting it in between my books. So all the books I was reading, it was an inspiration for me.
Wow.
And I taught the negotiations skills to all the comedians that were my friends at the time. I taught the spending, what you spend money on, books that you had to be reading, VHS tapes that you had to buy and watch. So, and then told them you must register in clubs. So register in Lagoon Movies, register in all the movies. So you go there, rent your movies, watch, and then look for DVDs.
Why didn't you start a comedy school?
It was...
Or you were making too much money. You didn't have time for
At the
it.
time, the number of people who believed in the sector were very few. Even amongst actors. I used to go to Abegi National Theatre then. When I told them how much I was earning, some of them would be like, who wants to pay you that amount of money? And RMD then called me aside one day and said, Ali, there's no need to be telling these guys how much you're earning because the kind of money you are earning, a lot of them don't get to see it in a whole year. So when you keep telling them, it looks like you don't want to get on it. So just make your money quietly. So that was what we were doing. Wow. And we're keeping our money. You know, back then, when they do your back up.
Was RMD like an egbon of some
Oh, yes. It was my egbon. The first time I came to Lagos, I went to his office.
Wow.
I was waiting for him. He was driving a regular Benz 200, lemon green. And it had an Ikeja number. I don't remember. And so I was waiting. I waited. When he now came, they now said that he was... I saw him. They said, okay, said I should come in. So I went. When I got there, he said, yes, we have again meeting, waiting. I said, I be worried, boy. I funny die. So he said, show me now, not be just to the talk, show me. So I started. By the time I'd done like 3, 4, 5 jokes, he said, this one different. This one will work. So every event that he had at the time, because he was doing MC, don't forget that at the time,
he was doing MC.
A lot of them were doing MC. Most of the broadcasters, Patrick Oke,
that's true. Most of the actors started as...
Yes, they were doing MCs. Yinka Craig, Donald Ovarijo, Siri Stoba, Frank that used to do Newsline. You know, all of them used to do MC jobs then. So they'll take me along, and Patrick Doyle. And with them, I then learned the MC part. I was just a comedian, but I started learning the MC part, and I found out, you could do this MC thing and the comedy thing together. So I started charging for MC separate and comedy separate.
Wow.
Now, one of the turning points on how I was charging money was a man called Steve Omogiafo, who was the chairman of Zenith Bank and was the man that owned STB, the advertising agency. He sent somebody, Kunle, to come and meet me to negotiate for an event. And because I'd been mentioning 777 when I was charging, when he came and he told me, then I was squatting with my uncle in Pangrove. And he told me that they have this event that's coming up. How much will I take? I said 7. He said, no, that what they have is 5. I said 7 that I'll take, and I'm not even going down anymore because I know what the work is. He said, okay, fine. He will go downstairs and bring me payment, but they'll pay me the balance after the event. I said, fine. So he went and brought me 5,000.
He thought you meant 7,000.
I meant 700. Pastive still date. Pastive still says that he's the one that spoiled me. So he said, so Kule said, okay, so they brought a payment voucher. He said, oh, yeah, sign here. I saw it. 7,000. I counted the zeros. I said, so I signed. And he said, on the day when they finish, they'll give me the other balance. I said, okay, fine. Yeah. When he left, I told my uncle, I said, Uncle, they just paid me 5,000 now. I said, for what? For what? For what? I beg. For what? I said, comedy. Which kind of comedy? What do you they talk? So I told him, I said, no, that this one is a big event. They have it at National Theatre. And they paid you. Who brought it? And I said, and you signed? I said, yes, I signed. He had this. I said, see the payment slip. He looked at it. This comedy? I said, yes. Now, from then on, I had to now sit back
and say,
this is big. This is big.
Yeah.
Your question was, where did I know that this was going to be this big? Those were some of the things that made me know this was going to be very big. And without thinking, something told me I was not the only one that was going to do this job. And a lot of them that would learn from me needed to know the ropes And so as many as possible, I will just tell them. So some of the people that I brought in, like the Charles Novia that I was talking about, he will go stand in for me.
Yeah.
I will tell him the jokes to tell.
Yeah.
Another one will come and say, you go to this other event. This and this and this and this and these jokes. If the chairman says anything like this, this is what you will say. And when the chairman has finished speaking, this is what you will say. If the people are not responding, this is what you will do to charge them up. This is how you say. Don't delay here. If people are going to eat. And so we then did the event chemistry and say, if there are 1,000 people and it's buffet, it will take 1 hour, 30 minutes to serve. If it's plated, it will take 1 hour. If you have 4 service points, it will reduce the number of... So we started
doing... You were that
those,
detailed.
Yes, we were detailed. We'll say, if somebody is speaking, before the person speaks, find out from the person is going to be long. If the person likes talking, on the podium there, just write there that you have 5 minutes or you have 7 minutes. And when the person finishes, take the details of all the things the person has said, highlight some of the things that he has said before you dovetail into the next person. And so we're just doing this and we're passing this knowledge round to everybody. And when you then work as co-MC with any of all these senior people, you then teach them. Ike Nandagoba, Raf Okpara, Bisi Olatilo, Manyo Numono, Sonny Rabo, these are people that I learned from as MCs. And from all these people, when you learn from them, you pass the knowledge down to the other guys. I also then learned something. It is that as an MC, you are the one that they've given the core of the event, whether it succeeds or not. You can have a bad show. Your MC will make it look good. You can have a good show, but if you have a bad MC,
it will mess it up.
It will mess it up. And so I knew that's why they called him Master of Ceremonies.
So
you coordinate from caterer to people that speak to the bride and groom. You bring everything together in synergy. And so it was a lot of work. But the comedy aspect was becoming very tough in the sense that people were bringing in sensitivity. Because when we started, there was something we're calling the 3 roles. It was Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. You tell a joke, you say, this is how Yoruba people will do it. This is how Hausa people will do it. Then I brought the 4th angle and said, but this is how Wari people will do it.
Yes.
You know? I remember one of the jokes that I told at one event. I said, you can always tell how people react. If a wallet goes missing and you ask a Yoruba man, immediately you ask them, they think you're accusing them. They say, did you see my wallet? How can you ask me of everybody here? I'm the one that you're asking. If you ask a Hausa man, did you see my wallet? He say, they tip them, let's search everybody. Because they are like security, they do guard work. They say, let's search everybody, nobody come out for here. If you ask an Igbo man, because they are into business, I say, I'm looking for my wallet. Say, you won't buy something. His own is about business.
I like that.
And then, if you ask the worry person, I said, did you see my wallet? Say, your wallet? The one with 500 naira? They don't see for naira. He'd be like, how did you know how much was in the wallet? My brother gave me my wallet. You know, it was one of my early jokes. And so we used to tell those jokes. We just categorize. If you have a car, and people want to praise it, a Yoruba man would either go, Irumoto Ilorira, you ask a Hausa man, he'll be like, why you buy this one? No Honda Accord? Because then all their cars are gone. If you ask an Igbo man, he'll be like, this is the 2021 model. Now this motor on our boss, or he would describe it saying the wheel, the alloy wheel in Spain. And the AC, or he will now start praising the whole car. Then you now ask him, what is the name of the car? I say, man, name of car. The car is just cute. He's describing the car, doesn't even know the name of the car. Then you then ask a worry man and say, see my car. I say, wow. How much you buy? I feel sell them. You know? So that was how we were going about and telling the joke. After a while, people now started getting too tired of that. And then we built the jokes into the rich and the poor. And after a while, we then did Ajebota and Ajepako. That was how we were moving. But you see, you had to then pass this knowledge down to the...
So that they know. Wow.
Jokes that you can't tell.
Interesting. What are the jokes you can't tell?
One law that I've stood by over time is that you can tell any joke about anybody, even God. But you see, even Jesus said, you see that Holy Spirit guy? Leave him alone. Leave nobody goes there. That is, even Jesus and God know that the Holy Spirit, because when you look back, you see that the Holy Spirit really doesn't take nonsense. Like in Egypt, they say, mark your house. So mark your house. Because when that guy comes, there's no, I beg, listen. But when you then say, he's the one that tore down temples after Jesus died. When Jesus said it is finished, that one just went berserk like, you know. And then it is also him that was telling the Israelites, you just cross the water. Leave these people for me. Cross first. That fire between they say, just go. Don't worry, just go. Leave this one for me. And then when they also said that Moses got to a place and the bush was burning and the thing, that's the guy.
True.
And then you're thinking back, you're like, hold on. You know when they were marching around Jericho, I'm sure Holy Spirit was saying, these people are just wasting time. Why are you marching around this thing? Do you want to bring it down? I can do it. So when Jesus said that, you can say anything, but you see that Holy Spirit, avoid him. So I tell all of them, so you can do jokes about anybody.
Yeah.
One of the jokes I did about God that time was I had a trying month, like 1 month passed, no shows. Second month, no shows. Then I went to the balcony and I said, God, how far? You're playing with your tight, Abi. You know, I told it at one church event like that. They laughed. One man now came, you can't tell jokes like that. I said, no. Jesus said that you can say anything about him and God.
But not the
Holy Spirit. So that's like, I have a caveat. So, but then you then tell them, in our society, rape, people who just lost somebody. So you can go walk at an event and then somebody that just lost somebody, or you're introducing someone and they say the person is the widow of so and so. Be careful. So sentimentalities and sensibilities need to be. So there's one rule I also teach them, and it's that there's a thin line between being funny and being offensive. You have to be careful and tread it well. I've done events before when somebody calls and says, oh, you can't tell that kind of joke. And one is Akinyele, the former minister for sport. So Akinyele is a man that loves jokes. He tells jokes himself. So one event, I was doing it and he had this guy that was his PA. And the PA came to me. So I said, Akinyele is the Ajebota minister. Nwobodo was the Ajebota minister. Ajepako minister was Akinyele. That when a match is going on and Nigerian scores, Nwobodo will be going, oh, beautiful. That's a beautiful. Yeah, that was wonderful. That's beautiful. See, but when Akinyele was minister, when they score, I say, you know, it is the difference in their upbringing then shows. As I told the joke at a sports award, and the PA came to me and said, you cannot rubbish my organ like that. What nonsense is that? But as we were talking, you know, I said, no. So they were pacifying him and said, cool down. The guy just made, he said, no, he can't be doing that. So he walked off. And Akinyele was coming. So I was now feeling like Akinyele was coming to. Akinyele came and said, oh, get me. And gave me, I think, 5,000 or something. Oh, get me. I'm not bad much. So I now told him, I said, but sir, your PA said that you didn't like the joke. I said, and said, for a number me. It's my landline, you can call it anytime. So I took his number. And from then on, when he invites me, I didn't notice. So I teach a lot of my colleagues. I said, the way you relate with the PAs of these big men matters. Because those PAs can block your... Even when the man wants you. The man wants you to do an event. They say it's not available. That's it. They say it's not available because they feel like you are either getting too personal with their organ. And they block you. Very true. So there was one time one called me.
Please guys, note this. What you say is very true. It's happened to me a lot of times.
So sometimes you say, someone called me and said, Ali, at an event, we're trying to reach you now.
Exactly.
I said, they said that you are not available. I said, no, nobody called me. He said, they said they called you 2 times. I said, oh, sir, this is my phone. And he called, he said, so you people said you called. He said, I told somebody to call. He said, who did you tell to call him? Anyway, Ali, I don't know who they got.
Yes.
You are doing the event.
Wow.
And if they are going to pay twice, they will pay twice, but not from my pocket because I already told them to get you. So I went there to do the event. When I got there and I was doing the event, the guy now said, the reason the committee really didn't want to is that your jokes are too sensitive. But the chairman of your company...
Exactly. He likes the joke.
There was the first close encounter I had with death was with Abacha. When Abacha was president, what's his name? The NS Shoneko had been removed. Mm-hmm. So I went to do this event in Abuja. I was working with Ike Nandagoba. So it was time for the Akwa Ibom cultural troupe to perform. Mm. And Abacha was wearing those sunshades that, you know, the Ray-Ban shape, you can fold it into one piece. He was wearing them, and this was about like
He's
to
always
10.
wearing shade, I don't know.
So when we were about bringing the troupe on, Ike Nandagoba said, Ali Baba introduced the troupe. I said, all the way from the Delta, the Niger Delta, is the Akwa Ibom cultural troupe. They're very happy that their state was created. And so this beautiful presentation of colorful and cultural performance is in honor of His Excellency, who was one of the people that helped to create the state at the time. So this is an honor. This is a celebration. Please, let's welcome them. And then they started dancing. I said, oh, stop. Everybody stop. Your Excellency, sir, it's to 10. What are you wearing dark shades for? You don't want to see this performance. They are going to shake and wriggle their waist. Sir, remove this shade now.
Jeez.
So he was talking to somebody and I was laughing. Then he removed the glasses, folded it, and kept it. And I said, okay, you are ready. I said, now, ladies and gentlemen, now start it again. So as soon as I made that announcement, I saw these DSS boys. They were going backstage to go and wait for their father. So when I saw this thing, I climbed down the stage, went to where Abacha was and sat down on the ground. He was sitting like this. He said, Ubanka. You're afraid, bro? After that, you don't talk, you don't want to go back. I said, sir, they'll come and arrest me here. So I said, sir, these glasses, they are very nice. He said, yeah. I had them till, I think, sometime last year that I can't find them
He
anymore.
gave you?
So I took the glasses and I wore them. He said, hey, you can't wear them now. The show is on. I said that they're performing for you. They're not performing for me. So later, when he was giving his speech, he now mentioned that he had never laughed like that before that.
Wow.
That this is the first time that he's not wearing his glasses, which is that first time that he was not wearing his glasses and he stood on the podium and delivered his speech. So when he finished the speech, he came down and I held my glasses. And now said they should go and bring the purse. So they now brought the purse. The man that brought the purse said, you're lucky, pa.
Chai.
You're lucky. Your family would not have seen you again. And the man that was talking was Hamza. He said, you're lucky, pa. And we became friends from that day on. Yes. So there's the many things. And I also, beyond showing leadership.
And the wisdom of going to sit.
My village people were not after me. The good thing is, every time you learn, for instance, if you have problems with, like I teach a lot of the younger ones, leadership is about experiencing things. If it's good, you share. If it's bad, you share. And you make them avoid those things. Or you then say, this is how I did mine. It worked for me. This is how not to do it. And the idea about leadership most times is what you get from a socket or fire and the child is looking at it. You can tell the child, don't touch it, it will burn you. So the child learns from you that it will burn him. Or the child sees another child touch it and it burns the child. And the child will withdraw his hand. I said, this one would, like, if it burns that child, then it will burn me too.
True.
Or the child then experiences it.
Either way.
Then he goes, oh, okay. There's a learning curve. You see, leaders should also be people who have empathy.
True.
There are many times somebody has called me before to say, oh, come do this event. And I say, okay, pay me 5 million. And he says, no, we don't have 5 million. It's 2 million we have. And we have also talked to TA. We have talked to Basketmouth. We have talked to Bovey. As soon as you mention those people, I'll then say, what date did you say 27th? I say, I'm booked for that date. I won't do the event again. Why? Because it's important for the standard prices to be held up by everyone. For instance, an SAN, who is a legal luminary who has built, should not be charging the same amount that entry-level lawyers are charging. Because if you do that, you kill the profession.
True.
You can't be doing charge and bail and you're SAN. All right? Somebody has a case. So that's why you see that most SAN, they come out when there are election cases.
Yes.
Because those ones, they charge billions.
They have premium.
Exactly. And that's what saves you. I believe that for me, passing those lessons to other people is a must for anybody who is in that leadership space. Supporting them as well. Sometimes some of these people go through, like during COVID, myself, Basketmouth, OK Bakassi, AY, TA, and Funny Bone, we formed a pause. And we were giving money to the young comedians. Why did we do it? We knew that if COVID finished, these guys will kill the business because they'll be desperate to survive.
That's true.
But if you keep providing something for them, they then realize that, oh, these people have our backs. So they don't go to court, undercut every price. You understand? The respect and then support for every other one. This boy has a show. Appear there, support him. Even if you are not going to support him with cash, be there, help him promote. I do something a lot, and I think every leader in every space should do it. If any of your guys have something that they're doing, whether it's a competition or not, repost it.
Wow.
Repost. Somebody has a show in Akwa Ibom. I'm not going to Akwa Ibom to perform. Repost it for the person.
It costs me nothing.
Nothing. Repost it for the boy. Or the guy is doing his show in Lagos. You can attend. Post it and attend. The fact that you are there, you're showing support for him.
But will you say that those cultures are gradually changing? Because we're beginning to see for the first time, disagreements between top A-list comedians. Unlike before. Okay, so what does happen sometimes is the different backgrounds that people have come into play after a while. Okay.
I'll give you an example. For instance, the comedians that have given jokes, and I said, oh, this joke is funny, I created it, you take. And then you have your joke that you're telling, and the guy likes it, and the guy is telling it. But because the guy is telling it now, you don't touch the joke anymore. Yeah. The same person that you gave those jokes will not want another person to touch his jokes.
Jesus.
So they're different. The lesson I had for this was one time in the days of Sajem phones.
Okay.
This boy comes to my event center, then excusez-moi, which is near Spa. ShopRite, near ShopRite. He says that he's very broke. He wants to say, and he needs 20,000 naira. I said, okay, no problem. I should come to the office. So he came to the office. When he got there, I gave him the 20,000 naira. So while they were waiting, the guy that he was with said, don't forget that this was the time that 1 minute call, whether you do 1 second or it's still charged 1 minute. So the person told him that he needs to make a call. And he said, no, I can't give him his phone. And I was like, wow. This is somebody that just, you didn't do anything for me. I just gave you. Yeah. And the person you came with says he needs to make a call, and you refuse to give him your phone to make a call. Wow. So sometimes you are generous to some people who can't be generous to some other people. So generosity is not acquired. It's something that it's born in you. Maybe from when you are growing up.
Yeah.
I've watched children play. You can tell a child that is generous from when they are playing.
True.
So this boy is playing with another thing, and then somebody comes and wants to play with that thing. He releases it and then goes to look for something else to play.
Yeah.
But you then find one that comes and takes the one from that person.
Exactly.
And doesn't want to share it with anybody.
True.
You know, those things you teach them from when they're young, and you can then begin to know why some people are the way they are. So not everybody comes from the same background.
So it affects them.
It affects them. Because I don't see any reason. And then there's sometimes some of them have been quarreling, and people ask, why don't you step in?
Yeah, exactly.
But you see, I've stepped in, I've asked this one, what is the issue? He said, there's no problem. I said, but you guys are not talking. He said, this is how I want it to be. You can't push it. So we leave them to be. I think with time, they'll iron their things out. But what I've said is, don't go in a way that it affects business. Most of them still work together, depending on where they are called. They make money. But I think that...
are you able to still welcome all parties? Because I noticed that as well.
Oh, okay. So for me, really, I have learned to deal with everybody. You know, I did sociology as well, behavioral science. Everybody should be dealt with. There's some people who are temperamental. There's some people whose education or lack of it brings out a different attitude in them.
True.
I remember one time one of the comedians had a show, came to meet me. I was with Teju Babyface on the day. And he said he has a show and he wants to go for the show. And I said, oh, that's beautiful. What time is the show? He said, it's okay. I said, okay, go break a leg. The guy said yes and left. One day I was somewhere, we're talking and somebody said that the guy said that I wished him bad.
Because you said break a leg.
Said, wow. And then there's some who feel that if they ask you for something, you can't say no.
Yes.
So there was a situation, one guy came and said he needed, 300 and something. The wife was heavily pregnant and was already in the hospital. He needed to buy some things. So I asked him, I said, your wife gave you 9 months notice.
Exactly.
Why is it?
Yeah.
So he said, but that is very tough. Things are tough. And I said, okay. I said, I don't have 300, but I can give you 100K. Wow. And I gave him 100K. He was somewhere one day and they were showing me on TV. And he was telling the people, say, this guy is stingy. Meanwhile, a friend of his that came with him that day said, how you go say that kind of thing about Ali?
Exactly.
He gave it. He said, I went to meet him for so and so. And they said, that, since that time, he never give me anything again. So when they finished, the guy was like very bitter. Somebody there then sent me a message and said, well, so and so place. And this person said this about you. I said, are you guys still there? I said, yes. So I'm coming. So I drove to the place because it was a recorded interview that was being played on TV. So I drove to the place. When I got there, everybody was like, Ali, we just saw you just now on TV. I said, yes. I said, I'm here to just spend some time with you guys. Oh, boy, are you there here now? Oh, wow, since that time, you never pay me my money back now. So it was like, oh, no. I said, you go pay me my money. This is my account. Pay the money. I said, I'll seize anything you have. You know, people then started begging. I would say, but you see, there are people like that. People you are good to will still say bad things about you. But we live above everything. That's why I'm not going to take it easy on my head.
Money talking about me while I'm making money. Shout out to them.
You should see Aliko dancing this song.
Really?
And I'm going to take it easy on my head. I'm going to take it easy on my head.
Oh, Lord.
No, but the thing is, the lesson there is sometimes, you know, I sometimes see I see a reflection of me in the saying that, you know, somebody said something to Jesus and Jesus said, if you refuse to praise God, he will raise stones. It's not that you actually raise stones, but just so that you know that even a non-living thing will be made to replace you, who is a living thing. And so if I have failed in opening the way or showing people the path to become this thing. He would have raised a stone.
Very true. Very true.
Raise somebody else to do the same thing.
Very true.
So now the accolades that I get are accolades that if I did not do it, somebody else would have done it. You know, somebody else would have done it. The husband of Ruth died. Boaz took over.
True. And he was a good
husband. I'm sure the husband of Ruth would not have.
He was a better husband.
He was a better husband.
But we must commend your wife as well. Having people live with you.
Oh, yes. That's
almost every list comedian will say, I used to live. I was like, did the man turn his house to...
So in that case, it was Vaga. She's a thespian as well. She read theater arts. And so the camaraderie, and then she comes from a very big family. And so she's a very generous person.
Wow.
And so that's the other thing one of my friends mentioned one time that we're talking about a marriage class. He said, if you marry someone who is stingy,
yes,
you would always have problems.
Yes.
Because every time you do something for people,
the person's complaining.
Oh, why?
Yes.
Why do
you
know?
It?
And
true.
Sometimes, there's one thing that I do after every January 1st.
Yeah.
My wife would come to the house. My wife will invite people to the house. And then when everybody has partied, she'll be like, which of your wristwatches are you giving out today?
Wow.
And so sometimes I would do about like 10, 15 watches.
Wow.
From Pato Ranking to Ike to...
you like watches, huh?
Yes, and then she will just be like, this watch is going to this person, this one is going to this person. And when you say, or do you want me to go give the ones I want to give? Let me select the ones that, you know, and if you don't, so that then, for me, she says, sometimes she says, this wardrobe is too full. And she said, once you have not worn this outfit for 2 years, I'm giving it out to.
Wow.
It also then makes you start. You know, it's that same thing that you then learn in comedy. You give a joke out, it makes you create another one.
Yes. In fact, for me, the biggest lesson I'm learning that your ability to keep reinventing yourself is a function, your willingness to let go the secrets that you are currently using. So it forces you to go and look for another secret.
Teaching is the best way to learn.
Absolutely.
Teaching is the best way to learn.
So you recently had 2 children. I thought it
triplets,
was
triplets.
I thought it was April Fool.
There's one of them, I don't know.
Because I even commented, I said April Fool. You are not going to... No, honestly, because I thought it was April Fool.
I thought it was April Fool too. I thought it was April Fool because those children.
What happened? Wait,
Madame had always wanted a son.
All your kids are female?
She had 2 daughters, and she always wanted a son, and we had talked about it.
But that must be IVF.
IVF. Because
so
I told
intentional.
So I told her, I said,
are you being grandpa?
No. So for me, I said, I don't want to be doing school runs and joining whiskey.
Exactly.
We'll now be daily meeting on a PTA meeting. We'll now set up WhatsApp group. So me, Rema, and all those ones will now be like, no, I'm not gonna take it easy. So, but she had said no, that okay. So one truth is the nest becomes empty when all the children, all of them have gone to
school. Exactly.
They're not graduates. 2 in the UK, 2 in Canada, all doing very well.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. By the way, she had said that she would want to adopt.
Okay.
She wants to adopt like 2 or 3 and take care of them.
Okay.
And then one day she then said, instead of adopt,
let's
just have our own. And I was like, okay. I said, but the way the country is now, the economy.
Exactly.
She was like, the economy is. So she said something. She said, you said the economy is bad. I said, yes. Have you stopped paying house rent for people? I said, no. Have you stopped paying school fees? I said, no. We actually have a foundation, the Purple Girl Foundation.
Wow.
Now, the Purple Girl Foundation is taking care of over 120 people in schools right now.
Wow.
So from primary school, secondary to university. And beyond that Purple Girl Foundation, there are people who are paying school fees for. There are people who are sending to law school. And so she said, all these people that you're taking care of, do you remember economy?
True.
And I'm like, well, true. You know?
Wow.
And so sometimes she says, if you think about it, the reason God put you in this position may be more than just take care of yourself.
Wow.
So let's do one. I said, okay, let's do one.
Wow.
Then she then said, but if we do one, you know, they say IVF fails. So let's just do 2. So I'm like, okay, so we'll do 2. And so we now put 2. And then one of the eggs split into 2.
Serious?
That's
how you begin to.
Hey. I mean, when she and the doctor,
congratulations.
When she and the doctor knew that it had become 3, they didn't want to tell me. They said they were now doing that. You know that thing that women do when they want to break bad news?
Yeah.
You know, the way God is, God is the one that decides everything, you know. Sometimes you are asking God for 1 million. God will give you 2 million. Your cameramen are laughing.
They are.
See, when God wants to bless you, you don't know how God wants to bless you.
He may just overdo it.
He just
Jehovah overdo it.
Exactly. So I was like, where is all this going to? Say, So, you know, there are those 2 embryos that we're looking at, you know.
It's like
they now split into 2. I said it's 2 we're looking for before. I said, no, you know, now it's not like 3.
3 boys.
3 boys.
Well,
and that's the first one. Looks like came from a refugee camp. We finish eating. I'm on you like, is that all? Already come and do vote of thanks and get out from here.
Well, you can't retire in the next 25 years.
No. The way it is that we have agreed that their brothers would now share them and take them on as their own. We have bequeathed them to them in the will.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. I think we have to invite you back. Because there's so
you have to invite me 3 times.
Yes.
As Baba.
Exactly. We have to because I still want to talk about politics. I still want to talk about some other sectors and
we need to talk. We need to one day sit down and talk about investment in the creative industry.
Absolutely.
We need to because
I'm all in for that.
When you hear that an artist will walk into a shop, buy a 360 million naira car.
Exactly.
And there's one that I was talking with one time, and I said, "Do you know we could build an event center with the money you used to buy these 2 cars?"
What did you say?
I said, and the event center will be bringing money every week.
Absolutely.
And then the money it brings, you can then buy a car from it.
Exactly.
Oh no, don't worry, money's coming. When he wanted to do his wedding, his guy called me and said, he knows you are going to talk about it too. Because he had to use a venue.
Can you imagine? That's what he spent.
So no, it's a core part of though, like I say, money will not finish. But you know, the things you do for the money not to finish are important.
I like that.
Yeah, money won't finish, but then you do. For instance, you walk into a bar or a club and you quench 40 million.
Yeah. I don't even know how they do those things.
Oh no, when you buy 4 or 5 bottles of a certain drink.
Me, I've not gotten to that level.
I have a friend, when he's going to the club, he gets drunk first. He gets drunk. Okay. We went to one club one time and then they brought somebody and said, oh, bring us 21 years. They now brought 21 years. They did that, their Dorime, and brought and put them. So he said, how much do they sell their 21 years here? He said 1.8. As in 1.8 million, say yes. Say, can they dance back with it? We'll pay the money for dancing back. That's what? He said, no. You find that the amount that some of them spend in those small times, it can change the lives of certain people. Absolutely. Can change the lives of certain people.
Absolutely.
One had bought a neck pendant with ice, as they call it, diamonds and everything, and it came to 1.8 billion.
No, we do an
now,
estate.
Now, he got drunk that night.
And lost.
No, got drunk, slept on the sofa, and this kind of cravings in this sofa, the thing slipped in there. He arrested everybody. They tried and tried.
Jesus.
And so it was one day they were moving a chair.
Jesus.
And somebody said, this chair, they were shaking the thing. They brought it out.
Did not go and apologize to those?
Oh yes. They were still with him. The guys were still with him. So he bought cars for all of them. But you see, it is because some of it is just criminal, the way you spend it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But anyway,
we'll do a series. Maybe we'll do in Houston or
maybe yes.
It would be nice having you around.
Let's. It's something I'd say we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Now we have something that is a big issue too. Is a fashion.
Yeah.
As a celebrity now, when you wear an outfit, they believe you can't wear it again the second time.
Really?
You won't know now. You are
madness.
They know now. They know. If you wear that outfit again and they post it, these are the people that will comment on it. See, they're laughing. They know. They'll say, things are hard for this artist now. Shebi, what this thing for that movie premiere?
Madness.
He's wearing it again for Jennifer's. This are things that bad? So
we need to do masterclass for celebrities. Investment masterclass.
It's very important.
Investment masterclass for celebrities.
Which is why I don't remember the name of the artist. Is it the one that won Big Brother that was telling them, I'll repeat close, you people. I'll repeat close. I bought it with my money. I will repeat close. One day I saw him. I said, but you have not repeated close. I tried one day. They have me. Because if you see Bonner on stage perform with one outfit, he can't even wear that outfit on an ordinary day. He can't.
That's nonsense. That's pure nonsense.
It is.
I mean, it is. Because somebody once told me, he's a billionaire. You can't even wear designers. I said, I don't understand. Who in the world wears designers? Bill Gates. Have you ever seen Bill Gates on designers?
No, those ones are different. Those ones are different people. Like Mark Zuckerberg that wears t-shirts.
Exactly. Steve Jobs, all of them. It's honest. I think part of the challenge, again, I know entertainment is show business, so you have to show. But I think part of the issue with Africa is most of us have not seen legit wealthy people before. I mean, in your own world, you live with all these people. So you know what I'm talking about. Because we're used to seeing politicians and then we see the kind of way they just throw things around. The definition of an average person, if you're wealthy, you must waste money. That's what proves you're wealthy. And typically...
Let me tell you another thing that some of them do. I don't know. These Gen Z people will know. They buy an expensive drink and pour it. See, they are shaking their head. They know. I mean, drinks that they sell for 5 million.
And then you pour it. So what does that do?
What does it do really?
What does it do? Like, is you show?
Show that you have one.
Money na water.
I said this guy opened it in the club. So the tray that has the ice, he was pouring it, and they were videoing him.
I can assure you he's a Yahoo boy. Because that's also the issue. Some of these guys, because we're not asking the questions. Sometimes when you say people are corrupt, we're not asking ourselves, where did these people make the money? One of my videos went viral on TikTok, and I could see many of them even abusing me. Oh, you said, I said something about Yahoo. Maybe it was our Port Harcourt event. They cut, my people just cut the clips. And the first thing they first said was, hey, you see, now pastor, him too, as pastor, the thief. Because I was on suit in the video.
They didn't know your background.
Exactly. Even pastors, all of them, too, that criminal. And I'm like...
There's a time somebody, I think it was a time... the Malian guy was arrested because they said they saw cards and all those things. And I posted that it was bad. One guy came there and said, what nonsense? Am I the one that is in my money? The sister sent me a message 2 months later and said that their mother's pension was paid and was wiped out.
Jeez.
And that they were all now crying and mourning because the woman wanted to open a bakery that would provide employment for people. She was a nurse for nearly 27 years in Lagos. Got her pension, went back to the village and said she wants to open a bakery in Enugu that will employ people. And they wiped the money out.
And I'm sure
the mother now had a stroke. And from there, subsequently died. So the woman sent a message to me and said that, when you posted this thing that time, my brother that made the comment now, we told him that this was what you were fighting against. You see? When you throw a stone in the market, you don't know who it will hit. So a lot of people don't know the damage until it happens to them.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, these same people, now see the irony. These same people that say, oh, you shouldn't blame the Yahoo boys for doing those things. If a bank takes...
Scammers. Scammers.
If the bank takes 10 naira from them,
scammers.
They say they debited me twice for my use of my card. How can? But we'll get there. We just need to keep talking.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. We have to have you back, and I'm sure it's going to be another great one.
Thank you very much,
guys. Thank you. That's the end of this episode of Leadership Podcast with Dr. Stephen Akintayo, and definitely we'll have part 2 and part 3 with this man. We will. Love you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.